Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, also best-selling author, and every single day I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have another fascinating guest. On this show, we interviewed celebrities, entrepreneurs, business CEOs, athletes, artists to find out their path to success, how they overcome challenges and adversity, and of course, their keys to success. And today's guest definitely has that ability to share some insight and some tips and tricks because she is absolutely amazing at what she does. She does exactly that, helping people from all over the world overcome doubts, fears, procrastination, and of course, anxiety. She has over 25 years of experience in this area, helping world leaders become better professionals, more successful. She's done so many amazing things, and she also has an amazing podcast show, which I've had the privilege of being on. It was a great show. I had a lot of fun, and I just can't wait to have her here today. She truly believes that success is the process of improving and continually growing. So that's something we'll touch into today because I truly believe that lots of people need success, and how can they get success? And of course, you have to continue to grow and improve. So please welcome two-time best-selling author, brain training authority, international speaker, peak performance coach, Ms. Susan Sheehan.
Wow. Thank you. And it's absolutely a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here and spending some time with us. Most people here
now
don't know.
Now say all of that backwards.
Please welcome. Most people here don't know, but we're across the globe from each other. And for you, it's very, very late. And for me, it's very, very early. And I guess that's one thing about being successful. It's being flexible and being able to maneuver time and all that kind of stuff to work things out. But first of all, thank you very much for being here. I can't wait to dive into some questions with you. But the very first question I usually ask my guests is, how did you become this amazing international speaker and somebody who's an expert in this field of overcoming fear and anxiety?
You know what? I've just grown up doing it. Does that make sense? You know, when I get asked that question, it wasn't like just something that happened. I've grown up. I've just grown up doing it. I think my daughter was about 2.5. She's now 28, and I participated in an aerobic competition, and I had a trainer, my very first coach, and I was terrified. I had trained, I knew my routine. It was a local competition, and I hopped on stage and I forgot everything. And I ran off the stage and I ran into the bathroom and I just cried like a baby. And my coach trainer came in and said, "What are you doing? Get back on that stage," you know. And I just said, "No, I can't. No, I can't." And I didn't. I came second. And that was my first real experience of being terrified of something and doing it anyway. And I guess I just grew up knowing, I was in my early 20s, I wasn't young, but I grew up realizing that it takes 20 seconds of courage, and we like to add the word insane courage. It took me 20 seconds of insane courage to go from crying and saying no to getting on back on that stage and coming second. And for a while I thought, oh, they just felt sorry for me. But I then went on to participate in national aerobics in New Zealand. But that was my first experience of really thinking, okay, fear is there, but you know, we just got to do it anyway. And that was my very first experience of working with a coach, and what it meant to break through and just do it, even though it was terrifying.
What was going on in your mind in those 20 seconds? Like, what did you do? What did you say? What did you think?
You know, that's the interesting thing, you know, Fong, because if you ask me that, I couldn't tell you exactly what I was thinking. I just knew that I was saying no. The next minute, I was getting the award for coming second. You know, I think it was just that I just got up and I got on stage. I think I got out of my head. You know, I got out of my head because I knew what I was doing, but I think I just got out of my head. I stopped thinking about that moment and being fearful in that moment, and I just let what I knew anyway just take over. Does that make sense? I think that's just what happened. And now I look back and you know, I've studied this now and worked with thousands of people. I think when we get stuck in our 2% conscious and we think about it, we think about that moment of being fearful in that moment. But I think when I released that moment and just let the unconscious take over, which I knew, it was then I relaxed and just allowed what I knew to come out.
Mm-hmm. So fast forward to today, like, what do you do now in those 20 seconds if you're facing a fear and anxiety, something that's challenging to you? Do you have that 20-second rule still?
Yeah, I just do. And I think, and isn't it interesting? Sometimes we've just got to remember. And I've had a couple of ahas this week, actually, in that thing, oh my gosh, I've got to remember to do that, because we can get very stuck, and it doesn't matter what we're achieving or where we are on that ladder of success or what we know. We've still got to stop and remember what we know to do in that process, because there's so many moving parts, right? So we've got to be mindful of that. But I think it's just about being still. I think, again, I just practice. Okay, I've got to do this. Be still, get out of the head, and just do it. I still do that. Yeah, I still do that. And sometimes I don't even think about it now. Sometimes I just do it, because that's also the secret, isn't it? The more you do, the more you break through those fears, the more you know you can. Eventually, you just do it because you know you can. All of that thinking doesn't happen anymore, unless it's like one really big audacious fear, like huge massive thing. But it's the same principle works. Just stop, be still, stop that thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in this moment of fear, release it, reframe it, and do it anyway.
I'm going to put you on the spot now. What is a recent big fear that you've overcame, and what is a current fear that you still haven't challenged yet?
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. That's easy. The second one is easy. I went to a marketing seminar in Texas a long way back now. And one of the speakers, there was about 200 people in the room, 4 speakers. And one of the speakers was the youngest Norwegian entrepreneur. And he strode down the aisle. He's giving high fives to everybody. He was a really cool young guy, dressed up in a beautiful designer suit. He jumped on the stage, kicked like a dead bug, and said, "Don't be afraid to be unusual." And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, he's a bit strange. But you know what? The day that I get up on a stage, lie on the floor, kick like a dead bug, and say, "Don't be afraid to be unusual," is when I have overcome all fears of what people think of me. Because I still haven't done that. And I promised myself that I'm going to do that one day.
What's your version of that?
I'm just other than the accent, I'm going to do exactly the same thing.
Awesome. Well,
exactly the same thing. I see it playing. I'll have to make sure that I'm wearing pants, of course, and I'll be dressed for it, because that just would be the right thing to do. And I'll just do it. I'll just get up on the stage and kick like a dead bug and just say, "Hey guys, don't be afraid to be weird or unusual," or whatever it is. But I see it playing out in my head. I just haven't done it yet.
And I really hope it's going to be recorded.
Pardon?
I really hope it's going to be recorded and you can post that.
Oh, actually, that could be a viral piece. You just never know what's going to go viral, don't you? But that is something that I know that when I do that, I have lost all fear of what people think of me. Any fear that I have of people thinking of me will be gone when I do that.
And
what fear have I got over? Presenting deals and presenting a deal on an investment platform that I know that we're both on. That was a little scary, because I wanted to get it right. It's like getting it right. And again, when you know that you know something, but you're afraid of doing it, you get in your head and you start thinking too much. We use our imagination to magnify the fear. And I think if we just relax, visualize you doing what you need to do perfectly, see how you're doing it, and use the imagination to create that vision of how to do it, rather than using the imagine to magnify fear when it's not real anyway.
Now going back, you overcame that first fear incident where you still came in second place. Did you go from there and go, you know what? This is what I want to do for my career. I want to be that coach. I want to be that person who helps people overcome the fear. Or was there a period of time where you went on a different career path?
No, I've grown up as I've been a coach 30 years. I've grown up in the industry. I've worked across all industries of coaching, from personal training to personal coaching to life coaching to lifestyle coaching to wellness coaching to brain training, business coaching, peak performance coaching. What's the difference between life coaching and peak performance? Well, it's more strategic, and it's more for a higher level thinker that's achieving. It's on that ladder of success, isn't it? Life coaching's at the bottom. Peak performance was more up here because people have grown to a different level. So I've grown up all of it. I think I was born to do what I do. Fong, it was just something that I've always done. I used to bring home the kids that were lost and lonely, not the animals.
Very, very cool. Now, you're an expert in brain training, and you just mentioned that from life coaching, then there's the more strategic, which is peak performance, and then you keep on going up. How does one train their brain to be more effective, more efficient, more powerful, and for it to jump levels so that you're ready for that coaching that requires more strategic thinking or that higher level thinking? What can one do to train their brains?
That is a really very good question. And you know what, I work on figuring out what the answer to that is simply every single day. Because if we could help more people understand how to do it simply, there would be more people in this world living healthier, richer lives. We've got to start first off with getting rid of negativity. We've got to start learning how to reframe negativity, get rid of negativity. And then we've got to identify what it is we want. We have to know what that heart pumping core desire is, because all success is driven by what we want. And so we need to know what that heart pumping core desire is. Why that is so essential is because the brain needs to see something. It needs to see something. It doesn't matter if you're left brain, right brain, upside down brain, all brains need to see something. And if we don't put something new and beautiful and wonderful and panoramic in there, let's go back to the imagination and let's call it a preview. If we don't create a preview of the future, then the brain's going to replay the pain of the past. Mm-hmm. So we need to know what we want, and it has to be more than a new car or a holiday or putting the kids through school or buying the boat. It has to be a heart pumping core desire that comes from inside you and drives everything that you do. Your passion and your purpose in life is like the fuel that drives you. It's like putting that petrol in the car. And so it needs to be that intrinsic and emotionally connective. And then you turn it into that preview. So the brain sees it, because your brain does not, you don't put yourself in something or put something in your brain, read a book, do a movie. The brain doesn't go, now, is that real or is that not real? Whatever goes in here, the brain deems as real. It's really what is. So the more the brain sees this new vision or the vision of your future, the preview of the life that you want to live, or that core desire that just would change your life, the more it sees it, the more it puts it out there. And then this comes into another piece of the puzzle, and that's manifesting what you want. It's about seeing it. It's about believing it. It's about connecting the brain with the emotion, and then that universal energy that comes into play. And it's all of it working together. Mm-hmm. If we don't do that, if we stay just without thinking about what we want, then, as I said, the brain will draw from images of yesterday, bring it into today. We connect emotionally to it, and we believe that it's still real today. And the truth is that what happened yesterday is no longer real. It's merely the emotional connection that we have to it that makes it seem like it's real.
Mm-hmm.
So brain training, the very first step to brain training is that. And the second part of it is that once we've identified what we want and we've got that preview playing, then we know the decisions to make. Then we know what we need to do. You know, we can then set the plan and we know exactly what we need to do to make it happen. And then we just brain feed with all of the stuff that we need to put in here to move forward into making that preview our real life.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to math, a person could be a lot more efficient in math if they do number crunching and equations every single day, 20, 30 minutes, and train their brains to think faster and doing that kind of stuff, or be more familiarized with the numbers. Is there something a person can do on a daily basis that allows them to be more strategic, more creative, more positive?
Yeah, it's all about it's all of the above. I mean, I'm very right-brained. I'm in this new world of neurodiversity. I'm diagnosed ADHD. You know, my mother could have told everybody that when I was 7, but I say with a hand on heart that I worked with a coach once, spent $50,000 to be told that my brain wasn't organized and I didn't see numbers. Which if you're in business is not a good thing to have, right? You got to see numbers if you're in business. So I knew, you know, coaching one-on-one is the way we do one thing, is the way we do everything. So I remember coming home, I was in the States, I remember coming back to Australia and walking into my wardrobe, walking into my office and going, oh gosh, you know. So I thought, I'm going to start with my wardrobe. So I started keeping my wardrobe tidy. And before long, so was my office. I started with my wardrobe because it looked like a more simpler task than the office at that point. And, you know, still today, I keep an eye on what my wardrobe's doing, because if my wardrobe gets untidy, you can almost bet your bottom dollar that so is my office. Mm-hmm. So I've got to continually train my brain to be organized. And how do I do that? How do we train our brain to be different? Well, we've got to know how our brain works. We've got to know what makes our brain tick. How does it work? What do I have to do to help my brain function better? And so I guess that's what we do as coaches, right? We help people identify what's going on here and how they can work it. Nobody's going to pay me to do spreadsheets for them or put together be an organizer. But I certainly know how my brain works. And because I'm mindful of it, you know, I'm mindful that 2% conscious brain needs to be mindful of what the unconscious programming is. So I'm always on top of it, because I know that the more organized my office is, the more productive I am, and the better results that I get, the more focused I can be. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's all these little tricks and tips that we can use, you know, like another little secret as far as that the brain, like my brain, like an ADHD brain, is to only use 10 words in a sentence. Which may seem funny, but if I stay focused and I only use 10 words in a sentence, the brain actually slows down and I can stay more focused on the task at hand. Mm-hmm. So there's all sorts of these little tricks that we can use. But the number one is we have to know how our brain works so that we can focus on training the parts of the brain that we want to function more efficiently. And it's first off knowing what that is, and then every single day focusing a little bit on doing what we need to do. And look, as you know, Fong, it's all about just the right people, the right places, the right environment, the right energy. You know, be mindful of what you read, what you listen to, and self-talk.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty interesting, where you have to start training yourself to think in 10-word sentences of it. When that first started, were you basically going, well, today I am going to, like, did you sit there and count when you were talking?
I did. I used to practice before when I was first, I worked with a neural coach. I worked with a neural coach in California. His name was Mark Robert Waldman. And yes, I used to practice what 10 words sounded like, felt like, and then I was mindful of then how I had to have conversations. And I have to think about that. I've got to remember to do that otherwise my brain can just take off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I forget. So it's like anything, you know, if we want to achieve something, then we have to be focused on what we need to do
Mm-hmm.
and do what it takes to make it happen. So it's like when I'm speaking, I will always listen to Bocelli before I go on stage, because there's something about the sound of Bocelli's voice that slows my brain down.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
I'm more in control of what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to know how our brain works. We have to know how our brain works, because when we understand how our brain works, it works. We can work with it, and it's a relationship that really can help you achieve more.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned a segment earlier where a person needs to be able to visualize, train their brains to visualize what they want. You mentioned before that you're visualizing yourself being on stage, being like a dead bug, and performing that way. You've worked with so many people all over the world, and you're successful in helping them achieve their goals, achieve their visions. Can you share with us one of the most interesting or weirdest visions that you've ever helped somebody achieve?
Yeah, I can't. Well, I don't know if it was weird, but you know, we can. One thing I have learned is that we must never assume what people want,
Mm-hmm.
or create an idea in our own minds about what we think they need or want. I was working with a guy once, and he wanted to live in a let's say a jungle, a forest, a place that was very tree dense, very natural, with natural springs and water. He wanted to have just a cabin in the forest or the woods or the jungle, wherever or whatever that looked like. I can't remember what the trees were, but in trees. But here's the uniqueness. In this back to nature habitat he also wanted to have a room that was like high tech and everything he could, because he was inventing this online thing. So he wanted to have this little house in the forest or the jungle with one room that was everything high tech. And he went to Ecuador, and he found his little piece of jungle. He found his little cabin. Not sure about the high-tech room. I didn't get to get filled in on that one. He met a woman, and he started living in this little cabin in this forest in Ecuador with his cottage. Could wake up every morning, and he wanted to do yoga in the nude by a stream, and that's what he does.
Wow. It sounds like some James Bond thing where
I know, right?
turn a key,
But
turn a book thing here, and then it turns into this amazing tech place.
and I've got some other. It's I've got one story that is even really totally like just off the planet, but it's more of a private story, so I won't share that one. But it's I just know that when we visualize what we want, and here's another piece of the puzzle that is essential, is you've got to believe, and you know this stuff. I mean, this is all the stuff that you do, that we have to believe that it's waiting there for us. That was the aha for me. The day that I realized that, oh my gosh, it's already there. I've just got to become the person I need to be to have it.
That's true. Now,
And that's the biggest problem, people becoming who they need to be.
now, during that process of a person becoming who they need to be to receive that frequency of the stuff that's already there, sometimes what's stopping them from becoming that person they want to be is the people around them. And
Yes.
unfortunately, sometimes it's the loved ones, family, friends that they trust the most, and they want to be with them. They want to be close to them. They don't want to disappoint them. However, they're being drawn to this other world, this other life. How do you coach your clients to navigate through that, keeping the relations here healthy, yet still being able to achieve the dreams that they want?
You know, that is an excellent question and a challenging answer, because the process of developing self, as you know, is not always, it's simple to do. You know, we don't need to have a doctorate to do it, but it isn't always easy to do because we have to be honest with ourselves. You know, and I don't care who we are or where we are in life. All of us at some time, at some point, have stood behind a lie, pretending that we're someone we're not. And you know, as you know, and you would have experienced that once you realize that you're deserving of living a wonderful life, and you get out in front of that lie and you stand true in who you are, and you have the courage of your convictions, and you implement everything that we've already talked about, then what you need to do it seems to be inconsequential, but people can be so, the emotional aspect of people and coaching people through it, you know, I guess I ask tough questions. I get to the heart of the problem and I ask tough questions, and you can always read somebody. And I think from a coaching perspective, we need to pace people at a propulsion that they're able to deal with at any given time. And some people like to just move forward with baby steps. Other people like to take massive steps and take massive action because they want to get there faster. But I think that putting in place everything that we've talked about, and then as long as one is moving forward, as long as every day there's some kind of moving forward, because we only move forward or back, you know. We can be on that treadmill of just like moving like this and not going anywhere or doing anything. But as long as we have a little thing, we say my different daily. What is my different daily? And as long as that my different daily is being implemented at whatever pace or size, one is always moving forward. And as you know, when we start moving forward and we break through those boundaries of fear, we grow a little bit. And I think, you know, what I love about it and what is exciting is that as we step through these boundaries of fear every day, change happens silently and subtly. We don't see change happening. We don't know it's happening. You know, it just happens. As long as we're walking out of those comfort zones every day, change is happening. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, did I do that? Where did that come from? I can do it. And I think the faster that we can help people have those aha moments. Oh my gosh, do you know I did this, Sue? Oh my gosh, did you know that happened? Yeah, that's amazing. I know I've been expecting that to happen because you're doing the work every day. Mm. And that's the secret that's not a secret. When you just get up every day and do my different daily and focus on being a little bit better every day, change is happening. And then you have those aha moments. And I guess, you know, that's what it's about, isn't it? That our belief drives us, but our belief, which is our truth, isn't always true. Right. And how can we turn our belief that may not be true into a new truth is by knowing what we want, knowing the decisions that we have to make to have what we want, and then every day just guiding people into coming out of those comfort zones so they can have that shift happening on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love going, oh my gosh, I did that. Yes, go me. Because then, you know, you're moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm. No, lots of people overcome that fear. They did it. They're happy. They're charged. They're excited. And then comes the next thing that slows them down, and that's procrastination. You're somebody who helps people with procrastination too. Now, what are the most common reasons why people procrastinate, and how does one attack that? How does one avoid it or reduce that time of procrastination so that they could achieve that next thing that they wanted to do?
Well, I guess there's procrastination for a few reasons, isn't there? There's a procrastination because of fear. There's procrastination because of wanting to be perfect. Procrastination because of they're just not motivated, and I think the main one is procrastination because why bother? You know, because unless you actually reset, because I guess this comes into either having a growth mindset, having a fixed mindset, Because if you train yourself to have a growth mindset, you've got that preview of your life playing, and you've set the goals, and you know the my different daily and the stuff that you got to do on a regular basis. And I don't care if it's a life plan, a wellness plan, or a business plan, the same principles, the principles are the same for whatever you're doing. And it's I know that for me, I used to just say, I can remember the day sitting on the couch. I can remember the day sitting on the couch when I thought, I've got to go do that. I'm procrastinating. Why am I procrastinating? Oh, because I just can't be bothered. Oh my gosh, those words, I can't be bothered, never come out of my mouth. And when I hear them come out of somebody else's mouth, the hairs on my neck stand up. Because those words, I can't be bothered, you're just deemed to fail if you use those words. So I reframed that immediately, and I went, just do it. The Nike thing, just do it. I now have a different brain anchor now, and I say, just get it done. So with clients, I work out what motivates them, what pushes them through that. What is the brain anchor that's just going to boom and get them moving immediately? And that just get it done is working well with a lot of people, because it's like, just get it done. And then I anchor it in place. I'm an NLP practitioner and trainer. And so, learning how to use language and physicality to anchor in states of mind is a powerful strategy to move people through procrastination.
Mm-hmm. No, I liked how you framed it there. You said, just get it done. You didn't say, get it done perfectly, right? Because
No.
the other thing about procrastination is people are thinking, hey, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It has to be perfect. It has to be the certain way before I go and launch it or produce it or whatever it is. How does one help somebody else? How do you help somebody overcome that perfectionism? Like, how do you go, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. I know that's what you're thinking. How do you talk them through it?
Well, I guess we also then going back to what we were talking about before is understanding how somebody's brain works, right? Because if we know that somebody's more left-brained, more analytical, very more detailed, likes to read the whole manual before they buy a face cream, we know that if they're that person, then there's the high probability that they are going to procrastinate because it's not perfect. Because they haven't got the 50-page manual to tell them how to do it. And again, it's just going back to what is one thing that you can start with, and you grow with the one thing. But it is important to identify how the individual's brain works. And again, what is the one thing that's going to move them through? I was working with a client once who was very, very, very overweight. She was very, very, very fat. And she wanted to lose weight, and she was procrastinated. She was unmotivated. Everything we've talked about, she just had oodles of the negative. And I was doing some work with her unconscious, and I couldn't stimulate excitement in anything that I said. So I drew on pictures of experiences that she'd had in life. I thought if she started telling me stories of what she had experienced, then I'd be able to observe what, just spark that energy in her, and she'd done some amazing stuff. She'd traveled a lot, and she'd climbed pyramids and done all sorts of very adventurous stuff. And the one thing that sparked that bolt in her brain was in a boat going down the Panama Canal, and her and her friend were hanging over the side of this boat. And it sparked that energy, and I held on to that energy to move her through a neuro-linguistic exercise to help her get motivated. So it's different for every person. She would have been one of the most challenging clients I ever had, in relation to finding that spark that just ignites that energy that evokes movement. Mm-hmm. So it's different for every person, but we've got to identify who they are, how their brain works, and then what is that energy button, I call it an energy button, that's going to move them. And of course, we go back to the very beginning. They've got to see the reason to do it. They've got to have that preview, you know. But this woman couldn't, you know, the bikini thing wasn't going to work. Like, who wears bikinis anyway? But, you know, it wasn't about having a slim, trim bikini body. She just wanted to be healthier. And some people just don't, and I'm sure you've experienced this, and I think this saddens me a lot, is that too many people don't know what they want.
Mm-hmm. That is unfortunate. Now, I know it's because of what you want that keeps you up, going. I mean, right now it's very, very late where you are, but your energy is still there. Your passion is still there. How do you manage your energy? Like, I'm pretty sure you're not at this high energy state 24 hours a day. So how do you maintain it?
Oh, you know, I have a vision bigger than me. I'm on a mission to make a difference to the world. You know, I just wish that we could, you know, hold that thought for a moment. I was talking to a lady in Canada a couple of days ago, and she was telling me that only 3% of the population actually invest in personal development. And when you think about the percentage of businesses that actually truly are successful, these percentages are very, very, very low. And this tells us that the world needs you and I to help more people see their potential, see the possibilities that are right in front of them, and give them the tools and the resources and the guidance and the coaching to help them become the person that they were born to be. So that drives me. And I have a family that lives all over the world. You know, my daughter's in America, in London, and my mother's in New Zealand, and my sister's in Melbourne. I have a son with an intellectual disability, and he lives with me. And for me to be with the people I love the most, I need to be in different parts of the world. So I like to pick up my laptop and be wherever I want to be with the people I love the most, whenever I want to do it. And I like to turn left on a plane. So, and making a difference to the world from stages all over the world. So that drives me. I'm very focused on health and wellness. I exercise every day. I'm not so good on the meditation. I've got to be better at meditating. I've got to be better at being still, but I do practice it. I eat well. Food is important to me. The healing power of nutrition, I'm very passionate about that. I speak about that, and I take supplements. So, you know, I do a little bit of all of, I do endeavor to practice what I preach.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're a very, very successful coach. You work with a lot of people from all over the world, but I know that you're still working with other coaches who help you keep on growing. Why? Why do you still go out there and find other coaches? What drives you to constantly want to grow?
Well, because I like to learn, and I like to be better. You know, I just like the journey of developing ourselves. I like to know what my clients need to know. Number one, as far as information goes, I like to be able to answer their questions. I like to be able to help them be better. But I like this journey of personal development. You know, when I think about where I was 10 years ago to who I am today, I like the me that I am today. Not that I didn't like the me of 10 years ago, but the me today is just a better version of who I was. You know, I'm more in control of here. I'm more confident about who I am. I'm great at answering the hard questions. I'm okay with putting a hand and face to people. I had a friend, and I call him a friend, and I say it with love in my heart, but he called me the other day and said, "Why aren't we meeting for coffee?" And I said, "Do you want me to be honest?" And I've been kind to this person many times, just doesn't get the principles of what I'm talking about. But I just said to him, because you don't think the right way. We meet, have coffee, and it takes me all afternoon to get my head right after we're having one coffee with you. because the conversation is negative and below the line, and I'm a gunner person, and I said, the day that you realize that you are not living the life that you were born to be, because you have so much inside of you that you need to step into, and the day that you start stepping into the man that I know you are is the day that we'll start having coffee. Now, I wouldn't have been able to have that conversation 10 years ago.
Wow.
But we, but we spend so much time working on ourselves that, do you know that it takes 12 hours to get one negative conversation out of your brain?
Oh, wow.
So, we do so much work on ourselves so we can be better, so we can make our world better and help the people we love, live a better life.
Mm-hmm.
Why would we sit? And this is why the people we hang out with is so important, is because that person's negative energy is just going into here, and then it takes us 12 hours to get rid of it. Well, I like to protect what goes in here, and we just have to help more people understand how important that is.
Well, with news and all the stuff that goes along in social media, I don't have enough 12 hours to spare.
No, and you know what? It's not about perfection. We have bad days, and like some days you go, oh, I'm just having a slack attack day today, and you just relax the whole process. But it becomes the journey of personal development when you first start can be challenging, but once you're in it, doing it, getting results, feeling great about the you that you're becoming, then the journey's fun, right? And that's the thing, you never go backwards, ever.
Exactly. Now, let's say we put you on the world stage and you have a couple minutes here to share with the world the one message that you want everybody to remember Susan for. What would that be?
I've never been asked that question before. What would that be? Oh my gosh. You're worthy. You're worthy. It's what is your heart pumping core desire? Mm-hmm. If I could just go and inject. I did a TikTok the other day, and I said, if I could stand on a mountaintop and just say half a dozen words, and every single person goes, oh my gosh, I get it, I'm going to go do it right now. That would be a wonderful thing, because and it would be, what is your heart pumping core desire? Because it all starts with that, and then you've got to start telling yourself that you deserve it, you believe in you, and you can do it. It's that simple, but it's also so friggin' complicated, isn't it?
Yep, that's true. But those are really good words to live by. Before I let you go, I know it's late. I got 5 quick rapid fire questions for you. Give me the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. You're stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. What would it be?
One food, did you say?
Yeah, one food.
Oh, one food. One food. Chocolate protein powder.
Hollywood calls and goes, hey, Susan, we love your story. We would love to cast somebody to play you in a biopic. Who would you cast?
Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon shows up at your door and goes, hey, I got casted to play you. Let's hang out. You go, don't worry, I got it all planned out. What's that night out of fun that you're going to take Reese out for?
We would go somewhere. We would start off somewhere where we could just have some really great, clean food by the water, great music playing, not too loud, just enough so that we could talk and really get to know each other. And then if she was really like to dance, we'd go somewhere we could dance, because I think music is a universal language, and go to dance. And then a moonlight walk on the beach.
Very, very nice. What fictional character would you love for it to be a real person?
Ariel from The Little Mermaid. My favorite cartoon.
Awesome. And then also, you're stuck in the car and you're driving long distances for hours and hours on end, but there's only one song that you're allowed to play over and over again. What's that one song that you don't mind listening to?
My daughter was a singer-songwriter.
Nice.
And in fact, she toured with Billy Idol this year for 2 months. But she wrote a song for me once that was called Wings. And it's just my favorite song in the whole wide world.
Wow, it's an original. Great.
Original.
And my last question before I get there, give me a number from 1 to 3.
3.
1, 2, 3. So if you had to relate success to a clam, how is clam a metaphor for success?
How is clam a metaphor for success? Well, I guess part of being successful, well, what we need to do to be successful is to open up. Be open to listening, learning, letting go of all the crap, and let the good come in. Otherwise, if you keep all clammed up and tight in that shell, you'll never ever get to where you want to go.
Nicely done. So that's how success is like a clam. What's the best way for people to connect with you, ask you questions? I know you have an amazing show online. Tell us more about that. And yeah, how do people connect with you?
SC7 TV is a show that I just interview people that have achieved success to share their stories, their journey, stories, their journey, and I guess how they overcome challenges. And like you, interview successful people, athletes, artists, musicians. I interviewed last month one of our Paralympians. He has no arms and no legs. He just got a gold in the World Olympics last month. And I said to him, what is one of your secrets to success? How do you do it? Because he said, I just don't have any arms and legs. It's no big deal, really. Mm-hmm. He said, because I've still got this. And he said, I just work on one stroke at a time. I just get one stroke at a time better. No arms, but he does one stroke at a time better. And interviewing people with all their different, all the different colors of the rainbow that we are as individuals. I think, we can take hold of something, can't we? I see that one stroke at a time. Just do one stroke better. Meet Susan Sheehan.com I can be reached, and I'm on social media. Put me in and I pop up somewhere. But meetsusansheehan.com, you can reach me there, and you can also download the digital version of one of my books. So
awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. So make sure everybody out there connect with Susan. Lots of great stuff out there, lots of great content, lots of great information for you to learn and grow and improve. Once again, thank you very much for being here. She is Susan. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. We'll see you later.
Thank you.